Well, hello and welcome to Soap Secrets. We're going to be talking about the hospital dramas first of all. Now, Casualty isn't on over the Christmas period, is it, Claire? Because I think both Christmas Day and New Year's Day fall on a Saturday. So we've got a 2-week Christmas special.
Yes. We might actually have a 3-week Christmas special because don't forget we have Strictly Come Dancing has a final, and that's going to be a really big thing. You know, it's a really popular BBC, and that's probably going to knock Casualty out. So yes, and Christmas Day and New Year's Day have special programming. As much as I would love to say we're going to see Casualty, you're probably not. But so Christmas has come early in Casualty. We have this week and next week we have a two-part special, Hannah, and we see the return of Tess, played by the lovely Suzanne Packer, who we haven't seen since 2015.
Wow.
I know, it's a long time, isn't it? Now, this special, Hannah, is set Christmas Day last year. Now, if we cast our minds back, we were in lockdown again, weren't we? It was a very different Christmas to the one we had envisaged we were going to have. And obviously, it's taking part in the ED. Charlie is in charge. And really, I think we were having another spike, and all of our wonderful medical and hospital staff were just shattered and struggling again. So this is where we are now. Charlie sees Tess again, and they sort of parted on bad terms a bit. Tess went back to Leeds to be with her son and grandson, and Charlie sort of feels that she left him. He's had a lot in 5 years. He lost his lovely wife, Duffy, and perhaps he would have liked Tess to be there to help him through that traumatic time. So she's back, and she's going to be a major part of this storyline. We also have another guest star, Holly Aird, and she plays Laura, the mother of pregnant nurse Rose. Now, about 15 years ago, little Rose, when she was a little child, was brought into ED because her mother suffers from fictitious disorder imposed on another, FDIA, or to you and me, Hannah, Munchausen's by proxy.
Okay.
I don't know why they renamed it, but we used to know it as Munchausen's by proxy, but now they call it fictitious disorder imposed on another.
Okay, fine. I learn something every week there.
I know, it is difficult sometimes because it gets a bit tricky in Holby. It gets a bit medical for me in Holby this week as well. So she nearly killed Rosie when she was a child, and she was sent to prison. Now, she's fresh out of prison, and she's back for her daughter, who is working in ED as a nurse, and she's also 7 months pregnant. And as an argument ensues between the two, Hannah, because this Laura pitches up and she's saying we can start again, we can go forwards, I can be a great grandmother to the baby. They have a row because obviously her daughter says, no, stay away from me, you're not meant to be anywhere near me. And poor Rosie falls, there's a tussle, and she falls over a balcony. Now, this is a two-parter, so that's where we leave that storyline.
Yeah, a bit of a cliffhanger, I suppose, because it's a two-parter.
So that's one part of the storyline, and then the other sees paramedic Ian. Now, paramedic Ian in this episode, he's part of the critical care paramedic team. They're kind of like the action men, the action women of the paramedics. So we know he was part of HEMS, and about 6 months ago he came back into the to the ambulance service we mostly see at Holby, but here, when we see him this time last year, he's a critical care paramedic. And this means that, as I say, he's a bit of an action man, and he's first on the scene when a van tumbles down a ravine into a quarry. So this is quite an interesting storyline, because in ED we have a woman who is a migrant with her young son, and she's been fleeing from an abusive partner, and she has really bad COVID. They're not sure whether she's going to make it, and she asks the medical team that she ran from this man. She could only take her small son, but she still has her older son, and she would like this team to try and save him. Now, of course, when this van tumbles down and Ian, he repels down, he abseils down to get to the bottom of this ravine, or to the ledge where the van is teetering. Hannah, it's teetering. He finds this abusive man and the migrant's boy, her son, and the man has been drinking, so that's why the van crashed. And Ian's being, he's saying he's going to save them both, but the man is unstable, and as he goes to grab the boy from the van, all three of them are in the van at this point, and it falls again right down to the bottom of the quarry. So it's now teetered off the ledge, and it's all the way down. We see Ian he is wearing a crash helmet and stuff, but it's still quite a big fall and stuff. And he does save the lives of the man, the driver, and the boy, but he says he's not hurt, and he refuses to get checked out. Hannah,
can you refuse things like that? I suppose you can in his position.
You can. I mean, he should really get checked out, because this is a two-parter. He then collapses and we see the credits roll.
And there's another dun dun dun. Oh, wow.
It's really exciting. It's lovely to see.
It does sound exciting.
And it's nice to see paramedics doing something slightly different, because we know, you and I, we just see the normal paramedics. They're out there. They, if you collapse in a supermarket or anywhere, that you see them, but you don't often see a paramedic, abseil down and do all of this kind of action man stuff. Or action woman stuff.
Absolutely.
So it's great.
And any Christmas vibes at all going on?
Well, it's set on Christmas Day, so that's about it, really.
So there's a bit of tinsel hanging in the wall.
Well, there was no tinsel. But
okay, well, that sounds absolutely excellent. I'm looking forward to that. I always like a two-parter because it ramps up the old intrigue. So Holby, I believe I need my tissues at the ready.
You do, Hannah, for this week. We saw last week Carole, Dom's mum, have another stroke, and she was readmitted. And this week, Dom says a final goodbye.
I can't watch things like that. I find it really hard.
It is.
Well, I will watch it, but you know what I mean? I just find that I'm such a wimp these days. I don't know what's wrong with me. Well, not a wimp, but you just sort of... it's not real, but you empathise.
You do.
Or you can feel something yourself, yeah.
And you will do, because Carole is a much loved character. We really, really... she's been in it for ages, and we just love her. And I think the writers have done this, her final goodbye, really, really well. And I did cry buckets. I will have to say that. And we see Dom take his mum to his dad's favourite fishing spot, where they spent much time as a family, and they sort of talk about it, how they used to bicker and how his dad wasn't much good at fishing and stuff. And I thought that was a really nice touch, a really, really nice touch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's going to be emotionally draining for everyone. And as with Holby, as with all the soaps, actually, there's always a few storylines running through, as we know. And Christmas is no different, because, of course, we've got the whole Ange and Josh situation, haven't we? And Josh is trying to get help. Ange's just had twins, premature twins. She's, all her hormones are probably flying absolutely everywhere. And he's struck up a new friendship with Claudia from the support group. And I think she's slightly interested in him.
Yes, I would say so. Now, it's very interesting, this. I mentioned this because Angie's feeling slightly uneasy about Josh's new friendship with Claudia. Claudia is a lot younger. She's not tired. She hasn't just had 2 prem twins and is coping with a full-time job and prem twins. I think that's a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so she goes down to the coffee shop, and she finds this young physio having coffee with him. And we find out that Josh didn't mention he had a partner, nor did he say he was a new dad, which I find very interesting.
Yeah, why not? That's just not the right thing to do, Josh. You generally can tell it. It does happen in life. People can be interested in you once you're married or you're in a relationship or whatever it is. But it's all about letting them know that that's not reciprocated, isn't it? And stopping it.
Yes, but he didn't, did he? And Fletch says she's imagining things, but I have to say, Hannah, and so do you, I think, is she?
Probably not. Oh dear. Mind you, these two have got, they've got some legs, haven't they, these two? I mean, this is going to go and go, and it will sort of, it was never going to be an easy relationship. And we've got another storyline. Honestly, I think I'm just going to be weeping and weeping and weeping. Of course, I'm going to be completely in floods of tears this whole episode, actually, because of course we've got Sammy back, who was the very brave child cancer patient.
Yes. So, we know he has an inoperable tumour, and his mum's taking him to Lapland in a couple of weeks' time, hopefully, which is lovely. And he's back in now. He's got blood in his urine, and they need to find out why. So they give him another scan, and this is where it gets really technical, and this is why it sort of mesmerised me a bit. They did this scan, and Russ, Ollie and Eli now suspect that his tumour is operable. So
that's amazing.
It is. So he has a tumour, and they thought it was attached to his heart, but this other scan shows that actually there is a very slight gap between the tumour and his heart. Now, we're not talking, when we say slight gaps, like, a couple of centimetres. I think we're talking millimetres. So the operation...
But you know what? That small amount, I mean, I know from, my own family experience that small amount is the fractional difference between operable and inoperable, and you can only hope that it goes the right way. That's just incredible.
Yes. So this is it. So it's great news, but of course it does come with risks. So they have to talk to him and his mum, and they're very good. They do involve Sammy into making this decision, because he's not 5, he's about 10. So he's of an age where he should really have a bit of a say. So this is all going to happen next week. Russ, Ollie, and Eli do think it is operable, and Hansen agrees to throw his best team at it all. So this is great news, and that's all going to happen next week.
Okay. And as if that isn't enough, Eli and Amelia.
Yes. So you and I, we learnt last week that Amelia was pregnant, and then she found out she couldn't continue the pregnancy if she wanted to be part of the proton beam trial. Now, you and I both knew Amelia was just going to give the trial up, and she was going to go ahead with the pregnancy. I mean, it was obvious. We all knew that, apart from her husband Eli. Now, I would say he's thinking as a doctor, not as her husband, Hannah, here, because he's gone straight down the medical route, because he has all that knowledge, whereas perhaps another husband wouldn't have that knowledge, and they would have a conversation. He has made an assumption. She has made a slight assumption as well that he's thinking that they will all go with this pregnancy. He's made the assumption that they will go with the trial, and this week she discovers his views on it. So he's shocked when she says she will drop out of the trial to continue the pregnancy. Can they move forward together?
What's going on, isn't there, in Holby? Yeah. Great. Thank you very much. There's loads going on. Goodness me. Thank you for listening, and we will be back.